I was listening to Alan Quinlan chatting during the week, and he was like, "Look, if Leo Cullen had sent that team out and they had a won, it would have been a masterstroke. But because they lost, everybody's criticising Leo Cullen, and I don't think that's right. And I agree with Quinny on that. The thing is, too, a lot of the players that played in that semi-final for Leinster have played in the URC all season long. They've played a lot of games, and maybe Leo Cullen thought that the majority of those guys, with resting his frontliners, keeping that in mind, that they deserved a shot in a big game and a big televised game with a big audience. And he maybe found out a lot about some of those players. There's absolutely no doubt, no question, can't blame the referee that Munster were the better side on the day. If Frawley had kicked those 2 points for the conversion and got his team through, I think it would have been it wouldn't have been robbery, but it would have been close to, it would have been very hard for Munster to take. So yeah, for me, Leo Cullen has chatted about, you know, this week being the week of all weeks, and that they have to turn up, and that all the players that played at the weekend, not one of them will probably start this weekend, and there'll be a completely changed 15 men on the pitch. And I was listening to Graham Roundtree's post-match interview in the Munster game, and he was talking about his team being battle hardened, being fit, played 6 consecutive away fixtures, always on the road. They're living and breathing it. And you sometimes wonder, is actually resting a lot of these guys for, and it's not just 1 week here. Like, I know Porter played, but Furlong's been rested a couple of weeks. Some of the other guys have been rested for longer. James Lowe might come straight back in with his injury. I know Scott Penny's fit. He might sneak onto the bench. Even looking at the Sharks game, the quarterfinal in the URC, you'd know Andrew Porter playing. You'd Baird and Jenkins in the second row. Your first, second row is Maloney and James Ryan, by the looks of it. There was no Jack Conan that started in that game, or didn't start in that game. You had Harry Byrne starting ahead of Ross Byrne again. So, like, Ross Byrne didn't start the quarterfinal, he didn't start the semi-final, and now all of a sudden, a handful of these guys are expected just to pitch up. And without having played for a few weeks, I know they'll be training well together, but we all know there's nothing like getting out there and lacing up the boots in a full bore, match against battle hardened opposition. And yeah, there's a part of me that's fearful as well. But I think the blueprint for Munster there at the weekend was just hold on to possession. Don't give Leinster the freedom to play, because they will cut you apart. And anytime Leinster did have the ball at the weekend, they looked a hell of a lot more threatening with ball in hand than Munster did. But it was Munster who held on to it, milked the penalty, got up the other end of the field, and then just held on, kicked to the corner a few times, maintained pressure, even though they messed up a couple of lineouts. But they were in the right areas of the pitch, and Leinster struggled to get out on numerous occasions. So, like, that's what Ronan O'Gara, I'm sure, will be, taking a lot out of that semi-final win for Munster, and showing his La Rochelle team that starve these guys at possession, make them frustrated, get absolutely stuck into them. I think Munster got a couple of nice rolling mauls. Their scrum, especially in the first half, was very solid. The breakdown work was key. Tadhg Beirne was sensational. Jack O'Donoghue coming off the bench was brilliant. Hodnett as well, just could tore into them. And the speed of which Casey got the ball away from the breakdown was off the charts. We know that Munster have the best ruck speed under 2 seconds in the whole of the URC, and La Rochelle are going to have something similar if they're to get the win. There's an 8 point margin in the handicap. That seems pretty big. In my opinion. It's just the history of Ronan O'Gara coming back to Ireland in the Aviva Stadium, where he won so many games in green. I just think there's going to be a twist in this deal of between these two, and it wouldn't surprise me if it came down to a last minute drop goal or penalty from either side to clinch it. So it's a really difficult one to call. We all say that La Rochelle have Leinster's number, but for me, I'm looking at a reaction from Leinster. I'm going to go for Leinster to win this one. They're 1-3 to win the game, and I wouldn't go anywhere near the handicap because I just think it's going to be so tight.